Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, boy, don't feel my world untrue. Yeah, I want to talk to you. My world can be true if you do what I tell you to. I want to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio. This one is for Saturday, the 22nd of April, 2017. I'm your host, Larry Love. We're here every week to bring you the latest information on medical cannabis and adult use of this wonderful plant from all over the globe. No guest this week. We have a bunch of news for you, and if the powers that be show up, we'll take your calls in the second half of the hour. But first of all, I hope you all had a great 420 this year, and it seemed like it was very successful all over the place. But again, first, I've got some news for you, and here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I've got news for you, and first up from the Denver Post, some interesting news. What to do when the price of cannabis drops like a bowling ball. And this was written by Chuck Plunkett at the Denver Post. A story from the Washington Post earlier this year lays out a startling observation about the future price of legal cannabis, and Colorado's lawmakers should take note. The piece by Keith Humphreys argues that as the legalization experiment continues across the land, or if it's allowed under Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the price of weed will drop like a bowling ball. And with so many aspects of marijuana policy in a nation where the drug is legal in several states but forbidden by the feds, there is a head fake element to what should have been a simple realization out of the gate. For decades and decades of black market sales, we became accustomed to the idea that crazy tobacco sold for thousands of dollars per pound. Humphreys reminds us it never needed to be so. The devil's lettuce grows about as easily as normal lettuce. They call it weed for a reason. I don't know if I disagree with some of that. It's kind of hard to grow this stuff, I think. Stick that sticky icky in your pipe and smoke it. Now that growers in pot-legal states are able to work freely in competitive marketplaces, ganjapreneurs have been able to harness the benefits of better and better growing techniques, reducing costs. Indeed, Humphrey notes some analysts predict that with a fully developed legal market, Mary Jane's wholesale price could fall to less than $50 a pound. Yes, such a landscape is likely a long way off and might never flower, but as we'll see, the price is already dropping in Colorado even as demand increases. For users, of course, such news will be met with high praise. For governments collecting tax revenue, the fact must count as one enormous buzzkill, especially when you consider an eighth of an ounce goes a long way in the possession of a casual user. Colorado calculates the average market wholesale price for a pound of herb at $1,471. When officials ran the calculation as recreational sales went live on January 1st, 2014, the price was $1,876. That's a drop of $405 or a decrease of nearly 22%. The taxing impact hasn't been noticeable as the market continues to grow. In 2014, medical and recreational sales hit nearly $700 million. Last year, Laughing Grass sales topped $1.3 billion. This guy's very cute, isn't he, with his terms? Taxes last year totaled 157,511. Excuse me. Back that up. $157,511,445. That's the taxes for Colorado. But because of the way Colorado structured its taxing scheme, Humphrey's observations spells troubles down the road. He notes that unless Colorado's volume of consumption rises by a third this year, tax collectors will take in less revenue than the year prior. What happened to the blessings of the Green Genie? Colorado lawmakers scrambling to craft the enabling and regulatory legislation following voter approval in 2012 of Amendment 64 focused on a handful of revenue-raising strategies, the bulk of which will raise less and less money as the price of cannabis drops. The biggest revenue driver, and the one most vulnerable to Humphrey's epiphany, are taxes as a percentage of the price. Former and current governor's office officials tell me the idea of charging a flat tax to growers per ounce, as California and Alaska are doing to establish a reliable baseline, didn't come up back in the day. Perhaps lawmakers should start thinking in those terms. There's a little bit more to this. If you'd like to read it, it's on thedenverpost.com. And again, it's called What to Do When the Price of Cannabis Drops Like a Bowling Ball. Next up, Florida lawmakers agree that marijuana products cannot be smoked. Now, why the hell would they agree on that? It's one of the best and fastest ways to ingest. They just don't understand that science tells us that cannabis, smoking, actually increases the lung volume and lung function. So that's really a pretty ridiculous thing to do. A lot of states are doing that, and it's very sad because they're not really becoming a medical state if they don't allow A, for flower, and B, to smoke it. The next headline is if Jeff Sessions wants to crack down on medical marijuana, he'll have to battle more than half the country. Well, that's true. There's just I think over 30 states now. I think West Virginia joined us the other day. So it's going to be a battle. We'll have to see what's going to go on with that. I've got some other news for you. Speaking of the government, here is John Kelly, Department of Homeland Security, commenting on his hard stance on marijuana. Now, I also heard him say that marijuana would not be their focus, but here's this little clip.
And let me be clear about marijuana. It is a potentially dangerous gateway drug that frequently leads to the use of harder drugs. Additionally, science tells us it is not only psychologically addictive, but can have profound negative impacts on the still developing minds of teens and people up into their mid-20s. Beyond that, however, its use and possession is against federal law, and until the law is changed by the United States Congress, we in DHS, along with the rest of the federal government, are sworn to uphold all the laws that are on the books.
Yeah, don't mention state laws, Mr. Kelly. We have state laws here. That's right. That's what our Constitution is based on. Plus, the Trump administration, the people known to put out fake news is quoting fake science. What he just said is absolutely wrong. Yep, it is a gateway drug, but it's a gateway out of harder drugs. What a bunch of crap. The Daily Show with Trevor Noah really explained the Trump administration's reefer madness really well the other night. This is a little over 6 minutes, but it was so good that I thought we should play it. So here is The Daily Show.
Today's basically National Weed Day. And you know what I noticed? Your news anchors in America, they smoke a ton of weed.
You know what today is? 420, also known as the unofficial pot smokers' holiday.
It's a high holy day for those who enjoy marijuana.
For all of you at home,
I don't know what that means.
Waking and baking.
420!
Today's a high holiday if you're a marijuana aficionado.
It's a high holiday.
Happy National High Day.
Today, Ben & Jerry's released its new product, the Chilaco, telling fans to get one before it goes up in a puff of smoke.
It's also National High 5 Day.
That was good. That was really good. All right, those people have never smoked weed. Like, they sound like undercover cops on their first day. Greetings, fellow stoners. Who's got the doobie? I'm looking to get high illegally. You know, the cool way. Like, even the other cops are like, get the out of here, knock. Now, it wasn't always acceptable for people on network TV to joke about smoking weed, you know, but it's easier these days because support for legalizing pot is at record levels, partly because Americans have started to realize that unnecessarily incarcerating people for marijuana does more harm than good. And also because it's the only way to handle all of these hot dog crusted pizzas. But even as most people are moving in that direction, unfortunately, there is one very powerful little man who disagrees.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions has directed federal prosecutors to re-evaluate marijuana enforcement.
In a departure from the Obama administration, more aggressive enforcement may be coming.
I reject the idea that we're going to be better placed if we have more marijuana and you can just go down to the corner grocery store and get it.
All right. Calm down, Jeff Sessions. Think of the upside, man. More people smoke marijuana, more people buy your cookies. Think about it.
Keebler elf outfit.
And it's not just your cookies. Legalizing marijuana has already created thousands of full-time jobs, and it's raised hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue, a lot of which has gone toward public schools. So you see, kids, drugs are cool. Yeah. And look, I do understand why some people want to ban weed. I mean, it is a mind-altering substance that some people abuse, and it could get you tied up with the wrong crowd. I mean, Snoop has smoked so much weed that he's hanging out with a convicted criminal now. So you never know. But I would argue that however dangerous weed is, alcohol is 10 times worse, right? And you can buy that at pretty much every single grocery store. 420 is only once a year. Miller time is every day. And marijuana being legalized is not just about getting high and going to White Castle. I mean, there are many other reasons that over half of the American population are for legalization.
New evidence that marijuana could help treat the symptoms of Parkinson's disease.
There's pretty solid evidence that can be helpful in alleviating chronic pain in adults, nausea from chemotherapy, and then spasticity or muscle spasm in people with multiple sclerosis.
Marijuana can also be an exit drug that gets chronic pain sufferers off of potentially deadly opiates.
It's about freedom, you know, it's about the cannabis plant, you know, that's why we're here, you know.
Okay, I understand the giant talking cannabis leaf might not be the most credible source, but you get the point. And by the way, there's another reason that it's weird Trump's attorney general is against marijuana. And I know this might sound crazy, but just hear me out for a second. I have a theory that President Donald Trump is always high. Now, did I come up with this theory while I was high? Maybe. But it still made sense after I stopped being high. Unlike my idea for reusable toilet paper. But hear me out. Because I think there's like strong evidence that the president is always high. Because just look at it. He forgets people's names. He mixes up Iraq and Syria. And what do high people always do? They forget where they put things. And last week, Donald Trump didn't just lose his keys, he lost the Navy.
Earlier this month, the White House responded to North Korean missile tests by sending what President Trump called an armada to the Korean peninsula. But it turns out those ships were steaming in the opposite direction.
And breaking news, we're now getting a new update that the armada is just doing donuts out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, those ships were headed to Australia. Can you imagine how the Australians were themselves. Trump's like, we're coming for you, North Korea, fire! And Australians are like, oh, what the Mike? They're coming at us! The man's high. You tell me that this person is not high.
And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt.
Huh? Like, if Donald Trump hugged Melania that passionately, maybe she would live with him. And remember the other day? Remember the other day when Trump was celebrating Easter? That bunny wasn't really there. That's how high he was. We saw it too. I'll tell you what sealed the deal for me, people. Here's Trump in an interview discussing maybe the biggest decision he's made in his presidency. But that is no match for the munchies.
When you were with the president of China, you're launching these military strikes. Was that planned? How did that come about?
I was sitting at the table. We had finished dinner. We're now having dessert. And we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen.
Now, when we first saw that, let's be honest, we were confused. You're like, why are you talking about cake when you just launched missiles into Syria? But then, through our intrepid journalism here at The Daily Show, we got a hold of the original footage before Fox cleaned it up. And all of a sudden, it all made sense.
When you were with the president of China, you're launching these military strikes. Was that planned? How did that come about?
I was sitting at the table. We had finished dinner. We're now having dessert. And we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen.
Video shows.
Some cake.
Video shows that he was taking a bong hit. Of course, we know that if he did take a bong hit, he would probably be on our side. Anyway, The Daily Show. Check it out on Comedy Central. Going on with the 420 celebration, there were charges against some pot activists who offered on 420 joints to congressional staff members in Washington. They rolled up over 1,227 joints. Adam Eidinger, who was a guest on the show about a year or so ago, was one of the activists who helped get the legalization of cannabis going in D.C., and he was arrested. Here is this report, just a short one.
Marijuana smoke-ins, street parties, and concerts marked the informal 420 pot holiday across the country on Thursday. But police spoiled one cannabis event near the U.S. Capitol with arrests and seizures of joints. The police action in Washington on the day of celebration for marijuana fans underscored the drug's legal limbo in much of the United States. The arrests in Washington surprised organizer Adam Eidinger, who said the event was held on a District of Columbia sidewalk across the street from the Capitol to avoid conflicting with federal law.
They wanted to make sure when they gave out these joints for free, which is what the program is in Washington, D.C. You can't sell it, you can't buy it, you can give it away, you can have about an ounce on you, and you can grow it right in the backyard of where they're making our laws. And this is what happened. So they made sure not to be on federal land, yet they were still arrested. We'll see if we can get Adam on the show in the next week or so. Let's go around the states a little bit. In Florida, a physician is warning about the fee for medical marijuana qualification appointments.
Right now, thousands of you sounding off on our ABC Action News Facebook page about whether recreational marijuana should be legalized in Florida in addition to medical marijuana. The results overwhelming. 10 times as many of you answered yes to our poll than those who answered no. And you may not even realize this, but some physicians prescribing medical marijuana are at urgent care clinics.
ABC Action News reporter Ashley Yore explains the questions you need to ask before you go in for an appointment.
Several hundred phone calls, and we've done around 15 pre-qualifications this week alone, starting on Wednesday.
The AFC Urgent Care in Pinellas Park is buzzing, now with 2 physicians who can legally prescribe medical marijuana. They're the first American family care clinic in the country to get on board. And they say, you may not know, other doctors' offices can charge you to get qualified for a medical marijuana script.
They're going to charge you for that appointment, regardless of whether you qualify or not. We won't. We charge you once we know that you have gone through the pre-qualification process and that you could apply for the medical marijuana.
They say elsewhere a pre-qualification appointment can run up to $300.
I'm sure some physicians who have no experience with medical marijuana are getting on the bandwagon, and they will attempt to abuse the system.
This is all pretty new, but standard protocol is that you have to be a patient with a prescribing doctor for 90 days before you can get a medical marijuana prescription. There are no rules about charging for appointments, so Dr. Frosch says you need to research who you see and ask the right questions.
How are you qualified to prescribe medical marijuana? And some physicians are going to have trouble answering that question.
AFC Pinellas Park says they'll even help you apply for a medical marijuana card. And in true urgent care form, you don't need an appointment to come in. In Pinellas Park, I'm Ashley Yore, ABC Action News.
The Florida Department of Health also sending out a warning this week to be on the lookout for medical marijuana scams. We've got 3 ways that you can avoid getting taken advantage of, posted on our website at abcactionnews.com.
Okay, so again, that's Florida, and there's a lot of problems with that program there. We'll have someone come on in a few weeks and tell us about what's going on new there. Moving up to West Virginia. Again, they are not allowing smoked cannabis, which is ridiculous.
With the medical marijuana bill eventually headed to Governor Justice's desk, we wanted to keep looking into it. Since the bill is legalizing the drug for medical uses, it also includes significant restrictions as well. With this said, is a non-smoked form the best? Ryan Petrovich has more.
The medical marijuana bill passed both the House and the Senate, and it will eventually make its way to Governor Justice's desk, where he'll likely sign off on it. The bill allows initially only for pills, oils, gels, creams, ointments, tinctures, liquid, and no whole plant forms for vaping. Some feared that it would be smoked or even grown rather than these forms. When I spoke to Frank Jarman of the Marion County Resource Network about the original bill, he was against it. But now that it's not smokable or growable medical marijuana, has his thoughts changed?
No, my opinion hasn't changed. There's not a miracle in marijuana. There's nothing that it can do that drugs that are presently legal can do for people. I grew up with epilepsy as a child, and there were drugs that were available that are still available to handle that.
Jarman and other substance abuse experts have said marijuana could be a gateway drug. When I talked with an expert about this not too long ago, she says it is a gateway drug, but she also says there's a place for medical marijuana. And she specifically cites the non-smokable forms.
But I also do believe that there is a place for medical marijuana. It can be developed into a powder and put in a capsule and be a pill form. And I think there are lots of good uses for it. It needs to be controlled and it needs to be prescribed by professionals.
Uneducated people spouting out fake science, which is really crappy. All you got to do is look at the last 60 years in Israel. They allow smoking and vaping, well, vaping, which is almost the same as smoking, in Israeli hospitals. The Israeli army is allowed to use cannabis. I mean, come on, there's 60 years of Dr. Meshulam and other people from Israel studying this plant, yet these morons have to spout fake science out. Unbelievable. Moving over to Iowa, they're getting ready here for medical.
What's bad about it?
Everything. There's nothing good about it at all.
Representative Clell Bowdler had some harsh words Thursday for a Senate bill expanding access to medical marijuana in Iowa.
That's very, very unfortunate to the 13,500 people that's estimated that it will help by the bill that we passed.
The bill in the Senate increases the number of qualifying conditions to more than 12. It also would allow for producers and retailers in the state. Bowdler's biggest critique?
Because it's within spitting distance of full-blown recreational marijuana.
I made it 100% clear that the Senate Republicans, including myself, will never support recreational marijuana.
The two chambers spent Thursday trying to come to a compromise, but a family from Urbandale says they cannot wait much longer.
We may be moving to Colorado if we can't get this passed into law.
Coral Davis's son Colin has ulcerative colitis, a disease included in the Senate's legislation. But the House's new version would include fewer conditions. And if Colin's autoimmune disease does not make the cut, the Davises say they may just leave the state.
It'd be a big change, but I feel like it would be a vital change because where I'm at right now in Iowa is not where I want to be.
Colin spent early April in Colorado taking a cannabis oil that noticeably helped his symptoms. His mom says they want to stay in Iowa, but not without access to medical marijuana.
I know there's something out there that can heal this, and I have proof from other people that have used it, and just seeing in less than 2 weeks what it did for him, I feel like we have to do it.
It's amazing that people have to root up and leave their home state where they've lived their whole lives just for this medicine that is being so hard to get a hold of in states. And this gentleman said it. Gentleman, well, whatever. He's a Republican. He's dead set against any Republican will never vote for recreational marijuana. Well, you know what? Put a good medical program in first. Let's see what it's really like. Start reading. Educate yourself. It's just sad that these people are so staunch. But as soon as one of these Republicans, their wife or their kid or they themselves get a little cancer, boom, they're going to be on our side. Hypocritical pieces of shit. We've played some clips before about animals and cannabis, and here is another one of those stories. If you can find it online, it's amazing, because once they give this dog some cannabis, some CBD, it just starts relaxing and jumping around and running like a puppy. It's quite amazing. But here's the story.
Out you go.
Hudson has always been a happy, fun-loving dog, but the 12-year-old Portuguese water dog slowed down considerably after her arthritis worsened and a toe was amputated.
And so she's in pain a lot of the time, and doesn't want to go out for walks, and we don't want to give her painkillers because they just knock her out. Sit.
So Michael Fassman tried an alternative medicine that many humans use to treat their own pain and illness: marijuana. He gives Hudson a cannabis tincture that's made specifically for pets, adding the extract to her food.
Look. She's livelier. She's more engaged. She's happy to see us. She wants to go out for walks, and she seems like she's not in as much pain. Or she's in pain, but she doesn't care as much. It's hard to know.
This one works a lot faster than the other.
As more states legalize marijuana for humans, more pet owners are giving the drug to their animals to treat everything from anxiety to cancer.
Their two siblings got adopted yesterday.
Lynn Tingle runs a pet adoption center and a sanctuary for animals who can't find homes. She often gives cannabis to older dogs with health or behavior issues. And she plans to start trying it with cats.
You just see a real difference in their spirit, and thus they're just not in pain, so they're happier and they're moving better, and they just get a new lease on life, which is, a terrific thing to see.
Look at those pretty teeth. But veterinarians say there isn't enough scientific data to show that cannabis is safe and effective for treating pets. And vets can't prescribe or recommend marijuana because it's illegal under federal law.
Science is not leading the discussion on this, and that's what we need to happen. We need to have the studies, we need to have the science, so we have the background information to make these informed decisions.
San Francisco-based Treatwell Health says its products can treat a wide range of ailments, but don't get the animals high.
What we find is a lot of the animals are coming to us when there's no other option, when pharmaceuticals haven't worked for that animal. And so again, they're at that last resort, and cannabis is really good for those types of situations.
Treatwell tinctures have been selling well at Harborside Health Center, one of California's largest marijuana dispensaries.
So I see a tremendous amount of potential. I think we still have a lot to learn about these products and their efficacy and how they work.
With little guidance from veterinarians, some pet owners are deciding on their own that cannabis is right for their four-legged companions. Terry Che, Associated Press, San Francisco.
Whether it's for an animal or, for yourself or a human, if you're not human, it's really all about dosage, okay? It's really a very benign plant that, helps more than it hinders, that's for sure. So it's all about your dosage. Figure it out. Figure it out for your animals, too. It seems that it's working. This is from Yahoo News. This is how a single dad turned a weed bus tour into a $1.8 million business. That's right, $1.8 million.
Colorado first legalized recreational marijuana back in 2012. Denver has since become the bona fide destination for pot tourism in the U.S., with businesses capitalizing on this billion-dollar industry.
I'm about to check out Colorado Cannabis Tours, a company that takes you around and checks out different dispensaries along the way.
Sherry and Steph are best friends from Dallas who came specifically to check out one of these tours.
We are on a bus in Denver, Colorado, being chauffeured to smoke pot, and that's unbelievable. Younger, in my early teens, you know, we wanted to smoke weed, and we were too afraid because every time you turn around, the police was pulling you over.
Would you come back with your kids?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I would want them to experience the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Though the bus ride itself was the main attraction, we also got a glimpse of Denver's largest dispensary, Medicine Man, aka the Walmart of weed, where tourists learned about the proper nutrients and climatic conditions needed to grow weed at home. After a little shopping, the tour culminated with a live glass-blowing demonstration. At the end of the day, everyone had a blast, including Debbie and Carol from Chicago.
You just finished the pot tour of Denver. How do you feel?
Fantastic. We think it's very awesome that you don't have to walk around and feel like you're a criminal when you're not. We are well-functioning adults with careers and that, and we're great grandparents. We're not out here making bad examples for anybody. We think as an adult it's no different than any other adult decision you get to make.
Well, we were like kids in the candy store the first day here,
Yeah.
I'll have to admit.
This experience is the brainchild of one entrepreneur, Mike Eimer, who has been cashing in on the craze since 2014.
I would say pot is my passion. My goal and my company's goal is to completely, it's just to try to remove the stigma that's surrounding it and show people like this is just a plant that they enjoy consuming.
In addition to tours, his company offers an art class called Puff, Pass, and Paint, as well as a cooking demo where a professional chef teaches you how to make edibles.
Perhaps at that point, once the stigma is completely dropped, we'll see the laws drop too. And then hopefully, 10 years from now, a company like mine won't even be necessary.
Though Mike is proud to be an entrepreneur, he is also a family man. Running his business out of his home, he finds that his two worlds are closely intertwined.
Now you have a 5-year-old daughter. What are the conversations around marijuana like?
Well, I haven't had any yet. I haven't had a need to have any yet. When your child is that young, they're still in a bit of a bubble. She'll leave that bubble. She'll leave that bubble probably within the next few years here.
So has she asked you at all about what do you do for a job, Daddy?
Well, I'm a travel agent. So I have an easy out. I have an easy out as far as that goes. She just thinks of cannabis as a plant.
Whether we view it as a plant, drug, or novelty, it's undeniable that cannabis has become a hot-button topic, and businesses like Mike's will continue to shape the conversation around weed in America.
Again, that is a gentleman who takes bus tours of people through Colorado, visiting dispensaries and grows, and they can smoke on these buses because they're not driving. Next up, of course, one of the big controversial aspects of smoking cannabis, whether it's medical or recreational, is driving while using cannabis. Okay, what is impairment? Just because you have X amount of nanograms of cannabis, THC, actually, in your system, does that mean you're impaired? So this has to be worked out. Now, Mark Emery is an activist and a dispensary owner from Canada. He spent many, many years in prison here in the United States and just was let out a year or so ago. I can't remember how long. But here is Mark Emery claiming that smoking marijuana makes people better drivers. And then, of course, a reaction from the Canadians.
He countered not just conventional wisdom, but science too, saying that he drives better when he's high, and that you can too.
Well, I drive every day, and I've smoked pot every day of my life, and I've never had an accident.
Marijuana activist Mark Emery's view sees nothing wrong with smoking pot and getting behind the wheel.
Pot doesn't impair you. This idea, one of the many myths I have to clear out.
Except that's not a view accepted as fact.
All of the scientific studies produced to date show it has an impairment on your cognitive abilities.
As Canada prepares to legalize the possession and use of marijuana, safety advocates say there's good reason to keep pot smokers off the road.
I would expect to see, as a drug recognition expert, delayed reaction time, decreased awareness of space, time, distance, things like that, things that take away from your full faculty.
And yet, Mark Emery is offering a different position. Emery, who owns 20 marijuana dispensaries, including 5 in Toronto, takes an extreme view. On the morning show on Global, Emery says pot isn't just safe, it's a good thing for drivers.
Marijuana makes you more self-aware of your situation, so you'll be a better driver if you smoke pot regularly.
I would respectfully disagree.
I guess we're in the age of the untruth. The science says it impairs your cognitive ability. All testing to date shows it impairs your cognitive ability. And the only person that doesn't is probably Mark Emery.
Lawmakers say there should be limits to protect the public from drug-impaired drivers. Safety advocates like Brian Patterson say pot use, coupled with other risks, are a serious issue.
In 2017, it is the trifecta of driving risk. We've got people texting, we've got people driving while under impairment by alcohol, and we've got impairment by drug. The big risk that we see on the horizon is people are going to misinterpret information, and they're going to think that one is safer than the other.
In Mark Emery's world, the legalization of marijuana should once and for all end any discussions about risk, science or not.
The police shouldn't have anything to do with marijuana once it's legal.
The rhetoric from people like Mark Emery likely to ramp up over the next year as those marijuana rules get sorted out and it becomes legal to consume at least some amount of marijuana before climbing behind the wheel.
Okay, so again, it's all about what is impairment. You know, you could. Most of the states that have some kind of rules on this are using what Washington and Colorado have put out, which is 5 nanograms of THC per milliliter of blood. That's very, very low. You could have 5 nanograms in your blood system and not use any cannabis for probably 2 or 3 days, and you'd still have 5 if you had taken a capsule or if you had smoked X amount. So it really needs to be deciphered and done in a smart way. They're going to have to decide what is impairment. All right, now let's go to the lighter side of things. It was 420 this week, and we played you Trevor Noah's from the Daily Show. Here is Jimmy Kimmel from the Jimmy Kimmel Live Show, and he likes to go out on the street every once in a while and talk about cannabis and ask people different questions and so forth. So they're showing pictures of people that they're stopped on the street, and they're asking them if they're high or not. It's actually a lot better to see the video, but you can go to YouTube and see the video if you like, but it's still pretty funny just listening to it.
Today, as I mentioned 30 or 50 times, is 420, and this is interesting. There's a new poll done by Yahoo. It says a majority of Americans over the age of 18, 52% of Americans have used or use marijuana, which actually seems low. Of course, a majority of Americans have used marijuana. How else do you explain Taco Bell's entire menu? They're building businesses on this fact. Recreational marijuana is legal here in Los Angeles and the state of California, so we thought this might be good fun for our pedestrian question today. We went to Venice Beach, which is a pot hotspot, and asked people, are you high right now? Okay, so here's how this is going to go. We'll see someone introduce him or herself, and then together, based solely on the person's appearance and that introduction, we will try to guess if that person is high, okay? Let's play.
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Lola, and I'm from Denmark.
Are you high right now?
Okay, is Lola from Denmark with the flowers in her hair high right now? Everyone says yes.
No.
Well, someone should tell your outfit because It looks like Coachella came to life. Who do we have next?
What is your name and where are you from?
I'm Nathan. I'm now from Venice.
Are you high right now?
Okay, this is a tough one. Well, don't jump to conclusions. Is Nathan high right now?
A little.
All right. Yeah, that man is literally made of marijuana. You could probably shake an ounce out of his beard if you... Who do we have next?
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Jacob Arfman. I'm from Pasadena, California.
Are you high right now?
Okay, Jacob. This is a tough one. Is Jacob high right now? The audience is mixed. Mostly knows. All right, let's find out.
No, I wish.
Why not?
My girlfriend's around somewhere, so I can't really do that around her. So.
Your mom or your girlfriend?
My girlfriend.
Sounds like a fun relationship, even. But she does let him wear a tank top, so that's good. All right. Who is our next potter nodder?
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Donnie Mozzarella. I'm from uptown New York City.
Are you high right now?
Donnie Mozzarella. I think his parents were high when he was born. That is quite an... Is Donnie Mozzarella high?
Do you ever get nervous?
Sometimes.
All right, I'm not high right now. I'm sipping confidence juice. There's a little bit of tequila and lemonade.
Oh, all right. You know what? We apologize. He's not high, he's drunk. He's old school is what he is. Sorry for the mix-up. Let's see another.
What is your name and where are you from?
Yes, my name is King Jatet. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and Miami also.
Are you high right now?
All right. You gotta wait till I ask before you say. Is King Jatet high right now? All right, let's find out.
Yeah, always. Gotta stay high. That's the holy sacrament. I feel like I was Bob Marley in my past life.
And who are you in this life?
King Jatet.
King Jatet, yeah, that's even better than Mark Marley. It's King Jatet. I like to see King Jatet and Donnie Mozzarella do a reality show together or something. And I believe we have one more.
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Nick, and I'm from Louisville, Texas.
Are you high right now?
All right. Well, yeah, the obvious answer is yes. Well, let's find out. Is Nick high right now?
Yes.
How high?
Really high. Yeah. Welcome to the speech.
Why are you so high?
Oh, smoke weed.
Now, you know what? It actually was a dumb question. Sorry, Nick. Do you love clicking buttons and subscribing to things? Then click the button to subscribe.
And I'm clicking that button right now. You can subscribe to Jimmy Kimmel on YouTube, and they put some interesting bits up there. Moving over to Stephen Colbert and The Late Show. Here's how they handled some of 420 the other night.
The Canadian government has introduced legislation that will legalize marijuana use for recreational purposes next year.
And now, a special message from the Canadian Royal Mounted Police.
Good day. It's true that marijuana will soon be legal in Canada. So I just want to send a message to all Americans. Be cool. We can't have you rushing the border for our legal weed or our Primo Sticky Icky, which is still our maple syrup. And yes, this law will include every strain of our Canadian marijuana, including Potent Poutine, Ryan Gangling, Manitoka, Justin Trudeau, Michael Bublé's, Saskatchewan, Moose Nugs, Gordon Lighted Jointfoot, the Dank Regina, Ganja Scotia, Drake and Bake, Celine DeBong, the Grassy Let's Get High, Canadian Bacon, Alex Tobeck, Toronto Maple Spleefs, and Marijuana. So now that we're all cool, I'm going to take a moment and enjoy Canada's soon-to-be legal marijuana in the most Canadian way possible.
And of course, as always, Colorado is leading the celebration of 420 because today they opened the country's first drive-through marijuana shop. Yes, where they always ask, would you like to get fried with that? The shop is called the Tumbleweed Express. Get it? Weed, as in marijuana, and tumble, as in tumble into the canyon because you were driving high. Of course, when it comes to 420, there is no bigger enthusiast of this sacred day than my intern, Stony Von Dankington. Say hi to Stony, everybody. Stoney, this must be a very important day for you.
That's right, Stephen. Every year on April 20th, me and my buds get together in my basement, sit down on my couch, and celebrate the 1836 congressional resolution that created Wisconsin. Hail to the cheese, baby!
Stoney, that's obviously very worth celebrating, but not what I was referring to. Isn't there something else significant about 420?
Oh, most deaf, Steph. Because tonight, me and my buds are going to lie on a hillside, stare up at the stars, and celebrate George Takei's birthday. Live long and prosper, Sulu!
Well, obviously, we feel the same way. Live long and prosper, George Takei. But is there anything else out there, anything about 420 that is important to you?
Well, every year on this day, we have this exact same conversation, man.
Really? We do?
I think so. I'm not sure, man. I'm high as hell right now, dude. It's 420, man.
Stony Von Dankington, everybody.
Stony Von Dankington. Stony Von Dankington. What a great name for a Stony guy. And before we take a short little break, this is how they did it 41 years ago on Saturday Night Live. This is one of their most famous pot bits.
Every time you buy pot from Mexico or Colombia, you're putting an American out of work. We of the American Dope Growers Union support ourselves by growing marijuana in American soil. We've had a pretty hard time on our own, but with the union, we can live decent lives and stay off welfare. That's my union, and that's what our union label stands for. So look for the union label when you are buying that white little house. Remember somewhere our union's growing. Don't do me smoking at the best times around. You know we work hard, but who's the pain? When we at ATC stay high and earn away. So always look for the union label. It says we deal for the U.S.
This message brought to you by the American Dope Growers Union.
We'll be right back after this.
It's all about the 420 MMJ Radio.
Our nation's pot laws can be confusing, even in the states where it's allowed. So we decided to give you a guide of what you can and cannot do in the 8 states where weed's been legalized for recreational use. Let's start with our nation's capital, the only non-state featured on this list. In Washington, D.C., Republicans blocked regulation for marijuana sales. This essentially means you can only smoke in your house. Though many folks smoke outside here, you shouldn't do it on federal property like the National Mall. Now the other Washington. Welcome to pot's official nanny state. You can't legally grow your own weed unless you have a medical card, and if you do, you can only have an ounce in private. In Oregon, it's illegal to possess any more than 1 ounce in public. Also, if you're planning on visiting one of the state's gorgeous national parks, don't light up. It's a federal offense to token national parks. In the golden state of California, you can now smoke weed legally. So now that it's legal, it should be even easier to get, right? Not so fast. Regulations for recreational pot dispensaries are taking a while, like 2018 a while. You can't get arrested by state and local cops for having up to an ounce of weed, but if you sell any amount, you could get hit with a $500 fine. The edible culture is strong in the state of Colorado. That's because you can't legally smoke in public. There is, however, a legal alternative for those 21 and older. Cannabis bus and limo tours are now a popular option for tourism. While it's been legal to smoke and possess up to an ounce of weed since last December, it remains illegal to sell or buy weed in Massachusetts. Some people in Maine have been enjoying legal recreational weed since back in 2013. In fact, Portland was the first East Coast city to legalize greenery. There is, however, no sales regulation in place, so it's still illegal to sell weed. In the home of Sin City, you surprisingly can't smoke in public. This means the Vegas Strip, too. However, you can legally possess up to an ounce of marijuana, but if you get caught with even a gram more, you can get hit with up to a $600 fine. And on to our last state, Alaska. Sorry, you also can't legally smoke in public here either. You can, however, possess up to an ounce with no fear of penalty. Also, steer clear of a school or recreational centers because even a loose nug in your pocket can greet you with a hefty $50,000 fine and 5 years behind bars. So keep cool and keep your weed away from the kids.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
Thank you, Steve. Today is the 22nd of April, and if you haven't started your seeds yet, if you are a legal cannabis grower, or if you're in a medical state that allows you to grow cannabis and you have your license, if you haven't already popped your seeds, now is a really, really good time. I found that popping them, of course, indoors and then bringing it outdoors is a little bit of a tricky situation, you know, because of the light to dark situation. If you put them outdoors too early, you know, they could actually flower early. So I've experimented over the last few years here in New Mexico. Unfortunately, this year I am not growing, but I find that the best time to put it out is June the 1st. That's when the light really is at the right place for the 18.6. If you put it out earlier, again, you risk early flowering, which is really, really not good. Also, I found that starting them indoors in March didn't make that much difference even a month later. Once they get outside, you know, they really start to take off. So whether you start in March or April, you could even start at the beginning of May, and you'll grow some really, really nice flowers. We'll be right back to close out the show after this.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hey Joe, where you going with that money in your hand? I say, hey Joe, where you going with that money in your hand? Well, I'm gonna see my woman. You know, I heard she done messed around with some other man. I heard she did. You know, I'm going downtown. I'm gonna buy me a blue steel 44. You know, I'm going downtown, and I'm gonna buy me a blue steel 44. I'm gonna catch up with that girl. She won't be messing around on me no more. Well, I say, hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? I'm gonna shoot my woman. I found her messing around with some other man. Hey Joe, I heard you shot your old lady down. Hey Joe, you know I heard that you shot your old lady down. Yes I did, 'cause I caught her messing around town. Well, all right. I said, hey Joe, you better lay low. said, hey, Joe, where are you gonna run to now? He said, I'm going downtown, and I'm gonna get me a passport, see? Well, I'm going down south, way down Mexico way. And there ain't no hangman gonna put no noose around me. Just 'cause I shot her, just 'cause I shot her down. All right. Well, I'm going down south, way down Mexico way. I'm going down south, where a man can be free. No, there ain't no hangman gonna put no noose around me. Just 'cause I shot it down.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana.
Okay, sorry we didn't have a guest on today's show. We'll be back next week, of course, with hopefully a great interview and some more news. I want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, if you're a patient and have a story you want to tell, if you have a product that you invented, if you have a website, you're an activist, anything cannabis, it's info@mmjradio.com, info@mmjradio.com. If you'd like to hear some of the old shows, we're in our 8th season right now, about 400 shows, mmjradio.com. Also on YouTube, my channel is LSLove88. On SoundCloud, it's MMJ Radio, as well as Spreaker, MMJ Radio, and CannabisTube.net, we have a channel. Also on Spreaker and iHeartRadio, it's the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Also available on Now TV, Channel 937 and 420radio.org.
The medical marijuana. Shalabah. Shalom.
Oh yeah, no. Fuck Trump.
Papu puita, suya dapa, papu didi, sa papu 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 pupu,